You also have a force of evil. You have a force of good.
Hello, watchers, gods, and runners of the time stream. Look to your left for any attack frigates. Look to your right for any scary pirates. Grab a chair, conjure up a table, and join us to talk about all things the dungeon run. Pew, pew, pew. This last episode was insane. So therefore, hopefully today's conversation is insane. I'm excited today. We have not only an explosive episode to talk about, but we do have Stump the DM Part 2 segment. I'm really excited. And we also have another Blast from the Past segment. I love those. They're one of my favorites. And our guest tonight actually stopped towards the beginning of this side quest. So it's really, 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 really exciting. Overall thoughts of this episode, jumping right into it. I think it had a pretty slow start, which we will talk about. But overall, this episode had amazing content. It had good pacing. It was entertaining. The scenes were believable. I'm actually going to give this episode a solid 8. 8 out of 10 malls. I really liked it. I know she's shocked because
That's high on your scale.
it
Wow.
is. I thought it was overall a very well done episode. And if it weren't for the beginning, which we're going to talk about, this would have been a solid 9. It was really, really good. I really liked it, which we'll talk about.
I can really agree with you on the if it weren't for the very beginning part, the first hour, I would definitely give it a solid 9. But
So what's your rating?
you know,
Give it, girl.
I'm actually going to use a point here, a decimal, 7.5.
Upped it.
I
7.5.
7.5.
All right, go.
Yeah.
Well, talk
And
about.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about that first bit. So I'm going to preface this with the understanding that I think tattoos are cool. I have nothing against tattoos other than, to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go get tattoos all the time. I don't have one. I don't really understand the hype about it. But I do appreciate their beauty and what they stand for and everything. But the reason why I didn't like this episode in particular was it was an hour long of deciding what kind of tattoo to get, and it drug on for me, and it was kind of hard to stay interested. Although those tattoos were quite beautiful, I would love to see the art on that. And I thought they were very good. They represented each character very well and what they desire out of the party or what they stand for the party. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I just think that, it could have been something that you could have decided what kind of tattoo before going into the parlor and then maybe talked about it a little bit for about 5 minutes and then get your tattoos and move on. But also, Jeff mentioned that there was a soul tattoo. And he talked about it just a little bit, but we didn't get sincere details, like really deep, nitty-gritty details about it. And I was really interested, and I feel like it possibly could have played a pivotal role in later in the episode as to what was going on. And I feel like we missed a really great opportunity with that in particular. And I understand why they moved on, because the price of those was, one of them was far out of what they could afford. But still, get that information. That would have been so wonderful to understand and to know about.
I love how passionate you are about it. I feel like I agree with you. I think that regardless of whether they wanted to get tattoos or not is fine with me. But I do agree. I think the decision making in the scene itself went on a little too long. But I want to also add to that that I just feel there was so much, like I usually do, there's so much information there that was missed out on. I feel like I feel personally, I could be wrong, but I feel like there was so much more Fahima could have gained about people who have been in that past tattoo shop. I feel like someone suggested when we talk that showing the tattoo artist the symbols from the obelisk would have been cool because they're very worldly and may have known more about it.
Oh, that's a good point.
Just yeah, I mean, just kind of making the scene more meaningful, even when it comes straight up to the tattoos. I know Jared said at the end of last episode that, ooh, magical tattoos. As a non D&D player, I learned that those are a thing, but we didn't really talk too much about the cast, or the party didn't talk too much about, okay, wait, are these magical tattoos? Are they regular tattoos? And I agree with you with the soul tattoos. What does that mean? Like, I definitely feel like they were just having fun with it. But for us, we're just like, but we want it. Meaning is important.
More. Come on.
Yeah, and so I mean, I still to this day, and I could have just missed something for sure, but I just don't know if their tattoos are magical or are they just regular ones. I mean, they didn't really flesh that out even just for the tattoos themselves, which I thought would have been really cool if they did. I still agree with you. I enjoyed the part of the scene I did enjoy was I the fact that what being reborn, what the phoenix means to them individually. I did think that was pretty cool. To see each of their own takes on it, I think that does kind of have you dive in a little bit into their personalities and how they perceive their journey so far. So I did think the tattoos themselves were pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I definitely think that they were just a lot of opportunities that they could have navigated toward.
Well,
Um,
also, Tiger Lily comments here. It still bothers me that they tattooed bodies that didn't belong to them. Yeah, I can also agree with that. Like, yes, I understand. Cool. Let's do a trial error of whether or not like that tattoo, but that's not your body. And I know you're putting it through the ringer with all these battles and stuff, but those are things that you really can't avoid. This is something you are choosing to do to someone else's body. So,
I'll challenge that a little bit, just because not challenge it, devil's advocate, just because one. They don't know if they're ever going to go back to their bodies, to be fair. As far as they're concerned, those may be their brand new bodies for life. Who knows? They don't know. The party doesn't know that they're going to go back into their own bodies. They don't know that. And I have no issue with them getting the tattoos themselves. It was just for me. There needed to be a little more meaning or point behind it. If they want a tattoo of their body as they currently know it, who's to say that that won't be their permanent body? I think it's been pretty clear that they don't know what's going on, and so making decisions, which haven't liked of what they've done, making decisions based off all these options. We pointed out you don't like that, so they wanted a tattoo and they got the tattoo, and I'm okay with them making that decision in itself. So, but besides the tattoos, let's talk about right after the tattoos. Do you want to go first?
about Whitebeard's conversation, where we have that one Whitebeard conversation where he's trying to figure out what is going on from their little excursion that they went on, and they're offering him, hey, we noticed that the halflings were murdered or are missing, and oh, the sea hag so happens to be gone, but hey, look at this wonderful jewel that we have that we bought with the money that you gave us to go talk to the sea hag. We can actually talk to her directly. I thought that was kind of interesting that they were trying to pull one over his eyes. He's a smart man. And I'm glad that he kind of saw through Fahima assisting James, like, woo, make him have a purple haze or whatever while he's casting message. And I absolutely, absolutely loved the Sea Hag's response. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Laughing so hard at that moment. It was beautiful, especially just the little salt in the wound when Jeff was like, and it cuts off. Like the full 25. It was beautiful. I really loved it. I think we talked a little bit about this on our own time, but I think the reason, one, it was just amazing, but two, I loved that moment specifically because it was another sign to the party which I love personally, not being on Team Force of Evil. I just love it when the party gets reminded that not everyone is their friend, not everyone has their best interest at heart, and not everyone entirely cares to help them out. And I think it's important for them to kind of acknowledge that just because they say, "Hey, we're the heroes of Bingo, help me out," that everyone's just gonna drop everything. And I love that the Sea Hag was just like, "Bye." It's just, it was beautiful for me, and it left James and the party standing there like,
Uh, what do we do now? Yeah, I agree entirely that, just having I feel like that's kind of more of a neutral thing that not everyone's going to be for you and not everyone's going to be against you. You have some people that are just like, tough, thanks for saving me, but bye. And so,
Cold Candor in chat said, I think the Sea Hag likes the party just fine. It was Whitebeard she was laughing at. I think she was laughing at all of them. I think
I
she
think,
was
yeah.
definitely laughing in James' face directly.
Oh,
I
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was a jab against Whitebeard. It was just a jab to everyone involved. She's free. She doesn't care. YOLO.
Yeah.
Bye.
There was no incentive and there was nothing that was holding her to doing a fortune. So why would you even bother? She's too neutral for that or too chaotic, whatever you want to call it. She doesn't have to care at all. And so she ain't gonna.
And for me, yes, there was a lot of Whitebeard in this episode, and I stand by it. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, every time Whitebeard is on screen, it is massively entertaining. I do think that I still don't get why, since they point it out all the time, I don't know why they do keep underestimating Whitebeard's intelligence a little bit. I don't know, but we'll talk about that in the next scene. Um, but I thought it was hilarious that James was clearly struggling on the spot to come up with a response. You know, he was like, I love that. I love how he did midway through get confidence and was just like, and that's what happened. I loved it. I loved it.
He
Um,
had so much truth to work off of because he had so much knowledge about the future. Yeah, he could spin it whatever he wanted to. That was really good that he was able to come up with that on the spot.
and I do want to point out that Whitebeard was, oh, my man was in so much pain in that moment. He did just lose everything, and he gave a little side glance when James told him that him and his ship were going to go down to the deep reef, and he was going to get justice for what happened. Um, it's just, yeah, it was a really nice scene. I love how James caught himself because he almost just suggested sending to Mervis, which was hilarious. I would have loved to see him accidentally suggest that one.
Oh gosh, that would have
Uh,
been a can of worms.
it would
Whew.
have been. So I'm glad he was like acknowledged that, and he was like, "And I'm getting myself out. I'm getting myself out of here." I do find it hilarious, especially since they planned on spinning. I have three different overall things that I feel if I were there, I would have done in this episode. And one of them is that they were already planning on um, being mischievous to Whitebeard. They were going to spin the Sea Hag's message their way regardless. Why not just send the Sea Hag first, come up with a message, and then just tell Whitebeard you already saw her or you already sent her and this is what she said? Why do it in front of him and just risk being on the spot? I thought that was an interesting
Or at
move.
least come up with a plan just in case she doesn't respond or responds in such a way as she did. I mean, you're going to have an answer regardless. And so,
Well, that's the
Mihag
thing,
doesn't know
yeah.
what you tell him.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the thought in the moment was they wanted to show Whitebeard that they were helping out, and oh look, I'm helping you, I'm
Yes.
sending her. But again, overall, as their party, if their plan was to deceive Whitebeard anyway, why not just talk to the Sea Hag yourself, come up with the game plan, and then walk into his office, knowing my man is very upset. Oh, Morgan said, oh, I missed it. Sorry. Morgan said also needed to convince him how we spent the 150 gold. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess that's fair. I don't think Whitebeard would have cared at that point. Again, if you went forward and said either A, we already saw the Sea Hag, here's what she said, or you still could have said, look, we spent it on this thing, we already sent her, this is what we spent your money on, this is what she said. Well, I
Right.
know it's definitely not as easy when I'm not in the moment, but I
Well,
just thought that was funny how they're like, "This is what we're gonna do," and then they put themselves on the spot, and the sea hag was just like, "That's cute." I loved that scene. I did feel for Whitebeard. Obviously, I think he's been through a lot. Um, but the next scene, we didn't. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want to talk about that other stuff. But I do want to at least point out that it was really, really beautiful how Ugo and Civ had their little moment about Ugo's concern for Fahima,
yeah.
and that it was just that was genuinely a cute character developing, relationship developing scene between Civ and Ugo. It really showed where Ugo stands and what his opinions are, and how he wants to connect with Fahima and voice his concerns, but also where he's not the best communicator. It was so beautiful, especially with the ending with him saying, "No, no, no, I really want to try it on my own first." I just thought that was a testament to how far Ogo has come and trying to be a better communicator and trying to use his words and trying to think things through. Overall, I thought it was a really beautiful, quick snippet scene. It was
And
really
I think it's
beautiful.
great that both of them are recognizing how Fahima learns, how she acquires information and just develops personally on different things because she's kind of stubborn. You can tell her one thing and sometimes she'll be like, "Yeah, okay, I'll believe you." And then other times she's like, "No, I'm not going to believe you." I like how they have figured her out in that regard and go, she really does
Mhm.
need to learn these lessons. She learns them best when she learns them on her own. So we need to kind of
Plant the
set this,
seed.
we need to plant the seed, kind of set this up a little bit to where she does have this opportunity to learn before it becomes an issue or we have a catastrophe on our hands out of whatever she happens to do or whatever happens to her.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And yeah, it was just very touching them kind of, like I said, even when it comes to just how they see Fahima and talking about how Fahima works and their understanding of her. It was just a really beautiful scene.
That really shows
Um,
that they are true friends. They are truly a close knit family that they can listen and talk to each other and understand each other in that kind of way.
or at least that they're attempting to be, and they're attempting
Yes.
to really be there for each other and figure out how to make things work, especially because things have been so chaotic the last couple of days. Yeah, I think them behind the scenes really trying to figure out how do we approach things in the future. It was very nice to see that development, and I'm excited to see it play through in future conversations. But I did want to just kind of point that out because that was beautiful. Um, hashtag Forrestal says hashtag team friendship for the win. Amen to that. So the next scene, which is probably the hardest scene for me, uh, the scene with Civ and Loudmouth was so touching to me. Um, oh, Loudmouth. He's such a sweetheart, and his intentions here were so genuine. I can't even be mad at him. I can't even be mad at him that he just lied to Whitebeard in his face.
Well, that's
I
good. I'm proud of you.
I mean, I truly, I don't know what the heck to think about Loudmouth. Probably the most confusing pirate I've ever seen. He's stabbing people and stealing stuff one day, and then like putting his investment in saving kids the next. Yeah, I can't even be mad at Loudmouth. Truly, he's just a sweetheart. It made me sad, and just hearing him when Civ said that was either really brave or really foolish. He was just like, I really care about that boy. It was just it genuinely got me choked a little bit.
I kind
Um,
of feel like Loudmouth is like kind of a secondary father to Mervis. Like he really does truly care about Mervis. But I think like it's more on an emotional level than on just a, overall spectrum father type thing. I feel like he cares more about Mervis on an emotional level.
but
And that's
I
why
would
he sent him over there.
I agree, but this was a testament to just how much, maybe secretly, because again, someone pointed out maybe Loudmouth was just in the wrong profession. He just cares. Not only is it's not just Mervis. Now he's trying to save this random boy he doesn't know. He
Yes.
definitely is. He just he's just a really sweet guy. I just hashtag keep loudmouth talking. I really love loudmouth. I'm not even mad at him. I'm not. It was a really beautiful emotional scene. Um, Forwarding to uh the second big blowout with Whitebeard. Here is where I'm sitting here on the edge of my barrel, staring at the screen, sweating, like I'm so in it right now. And that was when everything's coming together. It's getting intense. Things are happening now. And this is where I think I totally see why Jeff was stressed because this whole scenario could have gone down so many different ways. And the party has one shot. They have one shot to convince Whitebeard that the Shaz and Gao are going to double cross him. Okay? That was step one. And as soon as I know Morgan's in chat, but as soon as James said, "You three go and I'll stay here," I literally was just like, no, because the easiest way, and I really wish maybe one day Jeff will tell us how different it would have been, because I fully believe they had. Some people think that Whitebeard couldn't have been persuaded. I disagree. And if James decided to go and convince Whitebeard, this would have been the perfect time to use suggestion and convince Whitebeard that it was his own idea that the Shaz and Gao were going to double cross him. And if that would have happened, I have no idea how this episode would have gone after that. If Whitebeard was convinced, and Loudmouth even said, if you convince Whitebeard, he will go after every one of these Shaz and Gao. Like, he will fight them. And it just would have been so interesting because clearly they wouldn't have tried to trade the family then. And then what would have happened? I don't know.
As
Forrestal
Farron
said that
says,
honestly.
so go ahead.
Oh, nope, go.
Kaz Farron said, what if he failed? Whitebeard would have tried to drop him on the spot, like thrown him overboard. I kind of agree. Like, Whitebeard was so done at that point. He's like, how dare you? And he has threatened, he even threatened in this episode, how dare you get into my mind? Don't you dare do that. You're a dead man otherwise.
I feel that was a little nudge to me. That's why the suggestion thing was so in my head. I think that Jeff may have been planting the seeds that this might have been a good time. Morgan says in chat, wait, you wanted me to get in Whitebeard's head? Let me explain there's something, Morgan. This would have been best case scenario for me and my man, because right now the party is clearly not in their favor. They're clearly going to try to save the boy. Whitebeard is not going to like that. He's in the middle of a negotiation. No one wins. If James casts suggestion and convinces Whitebeard that it's his idea, or, this is the right thing to do, then the party and Whitebeard can still be on the same page and everyone's happy, especially my man.
Huge risk, though.
Okay? Worth it. They're already, if they were theoretically to go right now back to the ship, everyone's in a lose-lose situation. The party's going to try to save the boy. The Shaz and Gao are not going to. Whitebeard's just going to be mad. Nobody wins in this situation. So it was so intense. It was good. It was stressful. Yeah, Lily Dumblestuck fan says, with huge risks comes huge rewards. Exactly. And that would have been perfect. Yeah, so I was just sitting there like, oh my god, this is so intense. And then everything was falling through, and then Jeff's description, and then the music. It was amazing. I loved it. Quick thoughts on this scene before I keep talking.
I didn't understand. Like, I get why he's all emotionally distraught over his son taking over half of his crew and going away with this brand new ship and all that stuff, and not understanding what the heck is going on with all that, and he's just wanting to cut his losses. But this is the Shaz and Gao. I don't know if he's ever had any dealings with the Shaz and Gao before, or particularly this elite form of assassins, and now you have two ships on your butt over it. To me, I was like, I don't feel like this is a very smart idea, and I really feel like you're going to get double crossed. So I do agree with the party that they felt like the Shaz and Gao were going to double cross them. And initially, on my first watch through, I thought, oh, this brand new crew he got was totally like probably part of the Shaz and Gao. But as you've pointed out to me in a previous conversation, Shaz and Gao are strictly Dragonborn. They're very selective on that. And I thought, well, maybe they have some people that they take on as like hire out or whatever to do some researching, some getting in, infiltrating. And so I thought, well, maybe that's possible. Well, the way that Jeff described it was, this is the lowest of the low coming from Boster. It's like basically they paid bail money got these guys out and said, "Hey, I'll give you treasure. I just need some hands."
Okay,
So I
please.
actually now don't believe that they're actually part of the Shahs and Gals. So, but still,
No, of
it just
course they're
didn't seem
not.
very smart to me to go with a brand new crew up against these really, really trained assassins. It just
Okay,
doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
first of all, I'm going to quote my man directly. Do you think this is his first time dealing with a hostile party in a negotiation?
Yes, but
I
this
think
could be the
Whitebeard
most
knows.
ultimate hostile party.
I think you too are underestimating the intelligence of Whitebeard. He had a plan. He had a backup plan. The debrief is right there. He knows Saugus is the best helmsman. He had a plan. Now, did he know that the Shawshangar were going to send direct assassins? No, but can you predict everything? I actually think it makes perfect sense for him to cut his losses. He's a pirate. He wants his gold. He's heartbroken. He doesn't want to show it. He's just done with this adventure. He lost his son. He lost his men. He lost his crew. He hired people who only care about gold on purpose. It makes perfect sense. He wants to get his money. He wants to feel an immediate high after his super bad low. It makes perfect sense to me. And he was just done with it. I also love how he sassed Civ a little bit because it was Civ's idea to hand the boy over to the Shazengao in the first place.
Yes, but it is still his decision to do that with his crew and with his bounty, essentially. Like, yes, Civ suggested it,
It is
but it was still
always
Whitebeard's decision.
And
It's
it'll
always been his
always be
decision.
Whitebeard's decision at the end of the
So he
day.
can't blame this on Civ.
And with that said, I did win our prediction 2 or 3 episodes ago that it was
That is
Whitebeard who
true.
indeed showed his cards and fired first, like we ever knew it would be any other way. So real quick, moving forward, as far as all I'm gonna say as far as the secret room goes, secret room. That's all I got to say about that. So with the ending, fast forward past the secret room. Akuna Matata says a gold medal for FailWaffle for turning it, blaming it all on Civ. It was all Civ's fault. But anyway, fast forward past the secret rooms to the fact that we are finally going to experience episode 0. This is probably one of the most asked things by the fans
Yeah.
to know and unsee and what happened with the secret room. It's obviously not going to be the same because the party knows what's going to happen. I'm actually excited to see what happens in the episode
Yeah,
0.
I'm excited too. I am nervous as heck about whatever is going to come after episode 0, but I think this will be a really neat little adventure that we've been dying to see.
I agree. And I encourage everybody who hasn't already to check out the No Cast Theory Zone channel. I mean, it has literally been blowing up.
I'm
Not
gonna
to
have to get
mention,
glasses. My eyes are gonna just melt out of my sockets. I just can't even do this.
and Morgan in chat points out a really good point that it is obviously won't be exactly like episode 0 because in episode 0 there was not a dragon, and now there supposedly is dragon still in the lair. It's very exciting. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I also love the fact that Ugo is so very mad at this point in time. He's mad at the
Yes.
amulet because that's who they think is controlling this at the time. He's mad with the time shift. He is done with it, and he is taking action, and I love it. And I'm really excited to see Barbarian Ugo in action.
I mean, just think about it. He has built himself up to this point with all these muscles and all these abilities and skills. He has lost his maul twice over now. He is quite annoyed at this, and he also was going down the paladin path. He's not a paladin anymore. Like he can pray to Amanda all he wants, but he's not truly a paladin, is he? They're back at level 1.
But I think for at least the way I see it is that for sure. But I also think that it's more than that. I feel like they just decided as a group that their whole point was to save the boy and do all these things and to preserve the timeline, whatever it may be. But he's mad that it seems like every decision and every choice he makes just keeps getting turned on over by the amulet by the time. He's just mad at this point, I feel, because
He has no
nothing he seems
control.
to exactly nothing he seems to be doing is the right thing. Nothing is working, and he is just mad about it.
Right.
Morgan in the chat says, "Fair warning, level 1 warlocks suck." I'm really excited to see level 1, James. I'm excited to see level 1 all of them, to be honest with you, because we didn't get to see that, I don't think. So it's pretty
Oh, man.
exciting. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens if / when they encounter the dragon. I'm excited. I trust Jeff's storytelling so much, and I'm so excited to see what he has in store and where he plans on taking this. I'm truly really excited. Um,
Well, speaking of, aren't we going to see him in just a moment?
I know. Are you guys proud of me that I actually did this in roughly a good time frame? I heard there was a lot of massive trash talking in the Watch Party channel, guys. I can talk fast. Dimmick says, "Good job, Fail." Thank you. Also, really quick, Angel Devilson, happy freaking birthday!
Happy birthday!
We love you. I hope you have an amazing birthday, and I will be showering you with love shortly. So I'm excited. So yeah, without further ado, if he's here, let's get on with our Stump the DM, Jeff Cannata. Amazing. He is
Hey.
here!
Yay!
Yay! Hi,
Hi
Jeff.
guys, how you doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm in a really good mood right now. How are you, Jeff?
I've had a hard day, but I'm ready to be in a good mood. I'm ready you guys to lift my spirits. I gotta
Let's do
know.
it.
I haven't been able to watch the show so far. Malls, give me them malls. What malls did we get?
You're going to be surprised. Reverse this time. I gave it a fantastic, amazing, solid 8 out of 10 malls.
All right.
7.5.
What was yours?
7.5.
7.5. All right. Okay. I like it. I appreciate it. I'm glad.
It's honestly, Jeff, it was so good. It really, really was good. Very happy, very content, and very excited.
Really
I also want to say I too had a really long, rough day. But seriously, just talking about this show, my mood is already I'm like way overboard.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm already feeling better too. Just seeing you guys and being part of this community again, it makes me feel better. So thank you.
It's a beautiful space to be in.
Indeed.
I'm also really excited because I'm evil and I can't wait to stump you again.
I have a feeling I'm going to do way worse this time because people have gotten a gauge as to what my capability is, and I think I'm just going to get owned now.
See, that's what I was going to ask you, if you felt more or less confident. Clearly less.
Way less. I feel like the stumpers now are okay. All right, they understand the gauntlet has been thrown, and so I'm worried.
I'm going to wager. I feel you're going to do better this time.
Oh, I appreciate your confidence. I think it is unfounded, but I appreciate it.
I think you're going to do equal.
All right.
You think he's going to get exactly 67% again?
Vandurslive with the push.
Yes.
The push. I like it.
We'll see. Okay, Vanderslice, I'm going to give you a bet too. I think you're going to get 2 questions.
You have so much faith in me.
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
I don't have that much faith.
Yeah. So, with that being said, Jeff, why don't we start with a redemption question then? Okay.
Redemption? Oh no.
Redemption question. Can you name the Dumblestuck children?
Well, I was only 1 off last time. Okay. Lily, Prim, Kelmop, God, I'm doing worse this time. Lily, Prim, Kelmop, boy, I'm Goldie, I'm gonna get worse this time than I did last time. That's terrible.
You're still missing
great redemption start.
too.
In this timeline, there's only 5 children.
And he gets it right.
What am I forgetting?
Do you remember who you forgot last time?
I forgot Kelmop last time, right?
No.
You're
Am I going to forget the same one again? That's pathetic.
I'll scratch the redemption section.
This is awful. Help me out. What am I forgetting?
You got it? Even
Well,
though
I know
you're
it's
totally
carrot.
looking at
That's the
chat.
one that I
Carrot
remember.
is the one I forgot last time. Yes.
And the other
You
one.
forgot Tiff, carrot, and jelly.
Tiff,
Tiff,
carrot, and
carrot,
jelly.
and jelly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
not a great
not a
start.
good
You
start
got
for
this.
me. Woo!
You got this. I really do believe in you. Okay, question number 1 comes from Ryan Winters. What materials did Jorah need the heroes of Bingle to retrieve?
The mithril, right? He needed them to get the mithril for. Well, actually, it was either mithril or adamantine.
There you
and I think they
go.
decided to. I was attempting to give them a choice as to. I don't think they got it. I don't think it was clear enough. But I was trying to give them a choice between upgrading Uggo's weapon or upgrading Civ's weapon. So one of them was going to be for a finesse weapon. One of them was going to be for a the maul.
Well, did Civ's weapon ever get upgraded?
It did not. It did not. But it was not even really a decision point. It kind of Uggo was just like, here's my maul. And so that happened.
I remember that. He was just like, do something.
Yeah. So mithril and adamantine. Yeah.
See? You're picking
All
up.
right.
You're picking
Back on the horse. Back on the horse.
Back on the horse.
Back on Nightfall.
Yeah, there you go. This question is from Sitar. What is the name of the barmaid at Rosy Cheeks Pub and Tavern?
The barmaid? Ooh. I gave her a name? The barmaid?
Ooh.
It's like Carol or something normal, right? It's something
It's very normal.
Yeah.
It's very normal. It may start with some letter. So.
Like Susie or Sally or something? It's super normal. Sally?
I'm getting it to you. It's Sally. I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, there you go.
Yay!
I was going to say Kelsey, but whatever. That would
Kelsey?
Kelsey.
Oh, Kelsey. Okay. Question number 3 also comes from Sitar. What was the first fight held in the map room?
The first fight held in the map room was the fight between Uggo and Elry Chinbreaker in the mud pit. Thank
you. Some of us made a bet whether you'd get that question right or not. I bet for you, by the way, so that's another win in my pocket. Question number 4 comes from Ages 13. What was the description of the poppies Torvald needed to help Lily?
The poppies were yellow. Right?
Yes. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Ooh, Morgan got it right.
They're yellow, and did I give a scent? Was it a scent that I described them with?
No, you gave it something on the yellow.
Oh yeah, with yellow with black dots, right?
Yeah,
yellow with black dots. Yep.
See, you got this. You were on a roll. The next question comes from Kaz Farron. What item did Civ acquire from the Dragonborn frigate wreck at the bottom of the debrief?
Swimming gloves.
Yay! Yeah. You got it. Question number whatever. I'm going out of order. This is from Arcane Rebel. What was the name of the book Fahima picked up in the Grizzly Grog Tavern?
Gristle Grog? The book that Fahima picked up in Gristle Grog Tavern. When did she pick up a book there? Ooh, I think I'm stumped on that one. I don't remember her picking up a book at the tavern. This is Gristle Grog is in Dalto Thum.
Yes.
And she picks up a book there? Boy, I don't know. I don't remember.
You got this, Jeff.
I don't.
What kind of book would
I mean, is it a cookbook?
I know.
Is it like a cookbook or a recipe, but like a drinking book, something along those lines is the only thing I can imagine.
Do you want to guess? Vandurslive, you better be looking at the chat. I know you're looking at the chat.
I'm not looking at the chat. I swear I'm not.
Okay. Do you know what it is?
It's a love novel.
Oh yes, of course. Picked up. It threw me off. Picked up because I didn't. Yes, she was given it to by the
the bartender. She was like, "Hey, can I read that?"
Okay, so my bad for the wording of the.
No. That's fair.
But Jeff,
that's fair.
what is it called?
Oh, I
That's the
made it up in the moment. It's called shortness of breath.
Yay!
Yes.
I'm gonna give it to you with Ingrid for the assist.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
assist.
You're welcome.
Vandurslive, I appreciate it.
That is amazing. Okay. I did feel, to be honest with you, my quote last time was a little too hard, so I made it a little easier for you. But we can't do this without a quote. So.
Okay.
Who said, "I am not worried of my father being violent. I am worried about him being disappointed."
I want to say that is
It's a great quote.
my father being violent. Why do I being disappointed? Oh, I think it's our little dwarven friend, right? His name is escaping me right now. Donk and Humrian, right?
Yay! Yeah. You got it. You got it. See? Yeah, I think you literally only got
the first one, which I literally had last time I was here.
So my redemption.
That's the worst one.
You're literally doing well. So
feeling good. Feeling good.
Yeah, this next one comes from Gorbin Plate. What color are the robes of Nightstone Abbey?
Brown. Brown. Right?
He knew that one
Should
immediately.
I give it to him? I guess.
Tan,
Colors.
brown. Beige. Yeah, beige is brown.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you.
brown.
I'll give it to you. I'm not a color expert. I don't care. This one was interesting to me. This one's harder. This one's from Breba. What creatures have appeared as porcelain banks in the dungeon run? What creature?
A flump.
Yes.
I want to say a dolphin.
Are you waiting for
definitely
confirmation?
a seahorse, right? A seahorse.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you a hint. 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 5.
There's 5?
Whoa.
Oh, I'll never get 5.
I'll never get 5.
You got 2 of the 5 so far.
So seahorse and flumper, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are other sea creatures, right? Is there a dragon? I think there's a dragon.
Yes, you good? Yeah. 2 more. You got this.
So, okay. I want to say a whale.
Yes.
Yeah.
One
You
more?
One more. But this one.
The only thing I'm thinking of is a turtle, but I think that's wrong.
Well, yeah, it's wrong, but.
Well, yes, it's wrong. I don't know the 5th one. What's the 5th one?
It was an unidentified crustacean.
Unidentified crustacean.
That's why I was like,
tough. That's
yeah,
tough.
I mean, it is tough.
That's just me being vague in the moment because I can't come up with anything.
Honestly, I'm going to give it to you because you successfully named the 4 accurate ones. So
that is very generous of you. Probably undeserved.
Oh, Jeff,
I appreciate it.
Just wait.
Just wait.
Wait till you call me generous of all people. Okay, so I'm gonna give you that one. You're 8-1 right now. You're doing good. You're doing good. This next one I like a lot as well. Also from Breba. Who did Duke Donal say was the most powerful mage that earned him some time in the duck suit?
Mesogranturzo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pew, pew, pew.
Where did that name come from?
That is something that may or may not
come up
later.
Ingrid.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Look, I just thought, it's a really interesting name. I thought maybe it was like some magician you saw as a kid or whatever. Like
No, I just made it up.
Oh, okay.
He's good at that.
Yeah, he is.
This next one comes from Sean Patrick. Who got Torvald's old belt?
We got Torvald's old belt. Ugo did.
Ooh, and for bonus points, what does it do?
+1 to initiative.
Ooh, did I not say he was going to do better this round, guys?
You did a lot better.
Okay. This next question. What is the name of the drinking contest contestant who withdrew from the competition when Lily bet her Flumpy Bank? What was the name?
Oh, no. I'm definitely not getting this one. It's not Bill the Drunk. Bill the Drunk didn't enter. I have no idea. That's a really deep cut. I like that question. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's too obscure,
deep
too far
cut.
back. Sorry, don't know.
It's Hal.
Hal. Okay. Hal. So not memorable. That's not good NPC naming on my part. Hal. All right.
He's a great guy, Hal. You know,
Hal.
when he's not drunk,
He's not,
fantastic.
he can't stand up when the chips are down. That's for sure.
Question, whatever. This is my people really liked my before and after questions. I tried really hard to come up with someone. This is the best I got. In The Heroes and the Dragon, did the shard of glass glow before or after they heard a horrible shriek?
The shard of glass glows after they hear a horrible shriek.
Oh yes. No.
Yeah?
The shard
No,
of glass grows before. The
Ah.
shriek was when they stabbed the dragon with the sword after the shard of glass.
Right. So that's toward the end. All right. Good stuff.
Yeah, boy. So that's 12-3. I'm a horrible person. I get excited. This next one is from Snake Master. This is a fun one. What creature did you, Jeff, not believe was to the correct scale / size?
Ooh.
I want to say the giant ape that Ugo turned into.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a great question. I like that question.
It is. I loved that one. I really did. Next question. What is the name of the Force of Good card that saved Nance's life?
Ooh, I should know this.
Mm-hmm.
Does Morgan know this? Is Morgan still in chat? Does Morgan know?
Not seeing him yet. I'm now looking.
No.
I don't know. It was
He is
something
there.
about. It was
Morgan
something
says, I
about.
remember the moment, but no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Morgan doesn't know. It's a great card name.
I don't know either. That's a good question. That's a tough one. Any of the card title questions are going to be very hard for me.
I intentionally kept them minimal and before we took over making them. It was the Siren Scream.
The Siren Scream. Wow, I would never have gotten that. That's a hard one. Yeah.
It's a great name, though.
Yeah. Not something I didn't make up. That's for sure. The fan suggested.
You didn't make that one up either?
No, I almost none of the cards I have. I mean, the first cards we saw in the show were all mine and the production team brainstorming. But like the second episode we had cards, it was all, and ever since it's been all viewer submitted.
I thought it was a little later than that, but dang, that's pretty good then.
I mean, I may be misremembering that, but I think that's the case. I think it was almost immediately. I mean, there were still cards in the deck from the first batch that we brainstormed. So some of those cards came out later, but I think the second batch of cards that went in were all from viewers.
Well, if you said it, Jeff, then it means that's what happened, and then that's it. This was. I like to spice things up, so this was a fun segment, a little segment trivia I wanted to introduce called "The First Thing You Notice." So I'm going to give you a description of one of your places, and you tell me which place it's from.
Okay.
Thought it was fun. First one: freshly cut pine, loose dirt, and pollen.
That is the place they first go to where it's Torvald's camp.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know why I got excited because you got it right, but I got excited. Next one: sickly scent of sweat, pine tar, and alcohol.
That's the tardy plunder.
Yee, he knows his places. Stale barnyard, standing water, animal feces.
Stale barnyard, animal feces?
That's what you said.
Is it?
Sure
I was going so well.
I always fact check, Jeff.
What is a barn? What is a barnyard? Animal.
Stale barnyard, standing water, animal feces.
Standing water.
I have to get you on one.
You did get me on one. I don't know where that is.
That is the Duke of Winkbird's mansion.
Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. Because it smells like a duck pond.
Yes.
I was trying to say that the duck has been pooping in the pond the whole time.
One more. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
I really like this one. You'll probably get it, but I like it. Dirt, rock, sulfur, moist, fear.
That was, I believe, isn't that the vision that James had when he smelled one of the time flowers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But where is it?
Well, it was supposed to be. It's open to interpretation, but I think we confirmed that it was where the basement of the tavern in Stranger's Fate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, you did confirm that, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Or was that supposed to be somewhere else and then you
No, I
changed
think actually I forgot to point that out, and then the next episode I was like, by the way.
That's exactly how it happened.
Really unfortunate, because I was like, I set all that up and I didn't do it. But, oh well.
I love that. I love that description a lot. So at least I got you on one, but there was my new trivia segment.
You guys got me on several. That was a really fun one. I felt good, but I also got stumped. That was legit. Good stuff.
As usual, Jeff, you're not done yet. You have to arrive at the best question.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
You know how this works. So just like your show,
yeah,
that's all about choices. For your extra credit question, do you want the fun extra credit question or the sassy extra credit question?
I feel like this is a trap. I'm supposed to say the fun, so I'm going to say the sassy.
Yes.
I feel like I clearly can't have the glass that's in front of me.
Okay, so it shall be. The FailWaffle question, extra credit question for you, Jeff, is last time you were on here, did you know, in that moment, as you're staring at this little gnome face, did you know that you were going to have Whitebeard joke about selling his son for 15,000 gold? Jeff, please check yes or no to that question.
Did I know in that moment?
Yeah, did you know? Because it was the very next episode you said that.
Possibly.
You sat right between the boxes.
And you sat there like, oh, that's interesting, telling Whitebeard's story. Huh, maybe. I was curious, Jeff. I was curious.
Yeah. So
Last one.
So it was a joke, huh? That's what we're going with? It was a joke? We'll never know, right? Because Civ failed the insight check.
Do you know? You have no idea how much that hurts me on the inside.
That's the beauty of D&D right there. That's the beauty. The dice decides.
Yeah, so be it. I appreciate you picking the sassy question, Jeff. But I'm just curious. Did you know? Yeah, you did much better. I'm right. You did. I think it was 16 right and only 5 wrong.
Hey, I'll take it. That's pretty good.
Hey, that's an improving score. That's in the 70s.
I don't know maths, but that sounds good. That sounds pretty good.
I don't know maths either, Jeff.
Hold on, I've got a calculator right here. I'm going to calculate your score.
You did really well.
16, you said, divided by 21. That is a 76%.
Hey, I'll take it. That's like a C+. That's a C+ right there.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to do much better. So do you have time for me to ask you a few questions? Or
absolutely, I am at your disposal. You want to tell me what's going to happen tomorrow night?
Last episode was amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm curious what you were going through when you got really emotional towards the end there.
I did.
And you made us cry, and that's rude. But what was going through your head in that moment? Like, what made you so emotional? And if it's not something you can't talk about, that's fine. But you just had a lot of emotions, and I'm hoping you can elaborate on that a little bit.
There's some times when I'm in it and I can see the thing that's so beautiful about this project, the show that we're doing, and the reason I feel so lucky and so precious about it is because we somehow magically lightning struck and we just got the best group of people I can imagine, not just the cast, but the crew, the production team. Every single person that's involved in the show is as invested in making it good as I am, as anyone else is. And that is really rare, really, really rare in my opinion. And I knew that this cast was invested in that moment, invested in that question. They weren't playing it like a game. I'm sure you or people watching have played video games or whatever, and you'll be playing Mass Effect or something, and there'll be
It's a great game.
some question, some moment where it's like, you're going to do the Paragon thing or you're going to do the Vanguard thing, right? And you go, I don't know, X, or you think about it and you just go, well, what would give me the most video game points? What would increase my status, or what's so beautiful about what happened last week and every single week with our show is that everybody is invested in the truth of the moment. They're all playing it from inside the perspective of their character. And it makes it, they're not just saying, well, I'll see what happens, or it doesn't really matter what I say, so I'll say whatever. They're actually taking it seriously. And I knew, and it was landing on me in the moment that everybody was doing that. And then we get to Lily, and I knew all of the things that it meant for that character to make that decision, to be presented with that decision. And it struck me in that moment how hard it would be. And then Katie goes, it's a hard question. And it's still kind of getting me right now. Like it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be that committed to fiction and to be in it that completely and bring so much heart to it. So I was struck by that. I think that beauty and truth in fiction has always moved me. I cried at the end of Avengers Endgame, so I'd cry at the drop of a hat. but that's what was happening to me, is that I saw it happening. I knew what was being presented, and I knew that everybody was taking it seriously and believing in that moment and understanding that it had weight. And so it landed on me.
It landed on us all. It really was. It was a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful scene. And seeing you get wrapped up in it also just like set everybody off for sure.
Yeah.
It was really emotional, but a good kind of emotional. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
I also want to know if you can share when did you decide to make Mr. Whispers an actual part of the story? Because I feel, you can tell me if I'm
He's
wrong.
always been part of this story.
I feel he was not always a big character.
Well, Jared came to the table with Civ having a mouse in his pocket from day one, right? There was Mr. Whispers was always going to be a part of the Civ story. And I think that because of Meep, maybe because who knows why, maybe because of just sort of how Civ developed organically through the thing, there was a lot of time where, Mr. Whisper stayed in Civ's pocket. And maybe he was sidelined a little bit more than even Jared would have wanted. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Jared.
Right.
But he was always going to be a part of it. And Jared and I had always talked about that character. And then, him taking the Find Familiar and really investing in that moment and having that moment with with Fahima,
Mhm.
I didn't know that was coming. I mean, that we didn't plan that or anything. It just was one of those things that I know Jared wanted to make his leveling up experience have meaning and finding the magic be a part of the group experience. And I couldn't have wished for a cooler moment than that. So I think yes, Mr. Whisper is becoming maybe more prominent now than he has been, but there was always a place for him in the story. So I don't think that it is completely 180 degrees or anything.
Well, I think it's just a testament to really in your storytelling, who really does know what was always planned, what you kind of went going along. It's really beautiful that I guess it's good. Mr. Whispers is finally coming out. What made you choose the voice?
That was nobody's going to believe me, but that was a completely spur of the moment decision.
It was a great decision. I am totally sold. He is my new soulmate.
I just was doing the squeak, squeak, squeak thing. I was like, in the moment, and I was like, this shouldn't be the squeak, squeak, squeak. He should be, should be something he's been hiding this whole time. And it just was like one of those things that I just did it. And then everybody reacted, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that was the right choice.
See, that was in the moment. See, you never know. You never know what was in the moment.
I hope I don't spoil the magic by revealing those things. I don't want people to be like, oh, well, it didn't matter. I think there's some mercurial magic about D&D storytelling, or storytelling like this, that is part planning, part improvisation, part taking things that the other participants are giving you. There's something that is ineffable about that. It's kind of it's like it was always meant to be, right? Because that's the only way it could have gone. Even though I didn't particularly plan it in that moment, it just felt it was inevitable. And I don't know. I kind of believe in that, right? That improv moment touched on something that had to happen, right? We all were in that space together, believing the truth of our story, and the right choice was made, not because I made the right choice, but because the circumstances were created to create right choices,
Right.
It's organic.
Yeah.
It's organic, and as Lazy Pixie is saying, fate.
I believe in that a lot. And something Ron talks about a lot that I always quote him and reference him because he speaks about it very eloquently. The idea that, there is something happening in your subconscious that you don't necessarily know, but if you're open to it and you let it influence you, you will set yourself up. You will make right choices, even though you don't really know why in the moment.
And sometimes it's not even the right choice. It's the correct choice for that moment, which sets you up for maybe the right choice in the future. Because, I mean, sometimes it's just, it's resounding that maybe you need to fail in this moment.
Yeah.
It's not the right choice, but it is the correct choice for that moment because you learn from that failure. And you can apply it to something later in the future, which is then the right choice.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that one of the things that maybe new players of D&D or even seasoned players of D&D can get hung up on, which I think is unfortunate, is this idea of wanting to win all the time, or wanting to, like it's a game to win. And it really isn't. It's just a device to create stories among your friends. And sometimes the best story is the time you fall on your face, and rolling that one or picking the wrong spell or, swinging and missing is way better. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this game.
I agree. And I do. I just really want to echo that. I love the fact that this show is so organic and so natural. And it's like you said, what happens because it's right in the moment. It's right for the characters. It's right for the story. That really is truly. I'll speak for myself, but I know others feel the same way. It is one of the reasons the show is so great.
Yes, I agree
because
entirely.
I'm getting into it, but I'm not so much a D&D player. But the story is so amazing, and it's so easy to just get completely engulfed in. And I think that is a testament to, like you said, it's not so. You can tell when people play games, it's like, oh, this is their goal. This is what they're trying to go for, and there is no
Right.
end game. There's no goal with this. It's just the story, the characters' lives, and what's in front of them, and that's beautiful.
And fun. It's about
A lot of
facilitating fun. And it's this marriage of preparedness and openness that you go, okay, I'm prepared, but I'm open to what happens in the moment. That's I think the key.
And I think that takes an awful lot of courage, and especially after the decision that they made last week. That is an incredibly courageous thing, to accept the decision or accept what just happened, and is open to, come what may. Let's just do this. Let's move on.
I think I didn't even realize that to the extent, talking to the players after the game last Wednesday night, after we stopped the stream and just kind of powwowing with them, I don't think I even realized how much trust they had to have in me to not get completely upset about that, and not feel like something is being stolen from them. And we'll see how this week goes, because this week could even get more intense. We'll see.
Oh my!
So we'll see.
I can't be any more excited, Jeff. So stop trying.
Oh, Jeff, can I please have a good restful night for once? Like last week, I didn't sleep hardly at all throughout the entire week. I'm finally getting back to normal here.
Well, I will tell you. Everybody has said this. The most asked question is where's episode 0? I think we've figured out a way to show it to you, but also give you something new at the same time. And I think there are some things this week that will make last week seem. We'll see. I don't want to build it up too much. But I think it's going to be an exciting episode.
We'll see. Also, I started a calendar of how many days we go without Whitebeard, so we'll see how if he comes back. I haven't started mourning yet, Jeff, but we'll see.
I mean, Whitebeard has been dead for so long. This entire flashback time travel scenario has got to have felt like just a gift, right? I mean, come on, it's not
the biggest gift you could have ever given me. Truly, because I was so upset. I was literally like anyone sad this guy lived for 2 seconds? Anyone but me? So happy he's the most, developed villain. I honestly, if we never see him again, I will mourn very much so. I literally, Jeff, it's so silly. I literally started tearing up when I was like, oh, that was so great. Could also be the end of Whitebeard, yeah. But I am so very happy and thankful to the guy whoever submitted the card and you for bringing Whitebeard back, because I promise you, no one was more excited and happy than me.
Yeah, that's someone who submitted a card, and then Jared just happened to roll the right number that it said Whitebeard on that spot in the card. I mean, it all was very serendipitous. It was. But don't think of all the Whitebeard we've lost. Think of the Whitebeards that we got to share.
Yeah, but I also I was mentally prepared to lose him in a few weeks, and so I'm just saying, I have a little 6 days and counting. Maybe he'll come back. You never know. But if not, I will mourn and I'm sincerely happy that all the Whitebeard that I did get to have. So thank you very much for that.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for investing in that character and believing in him. I mean. I never thought that Whitebeard would be as big a part of the show as he is, and I love that. I love it's grown and become. Yeah,
he's bigger than Jorl now.
He's a big part. Yeah, he's a big part of the story.
Biased, but he's bigger than everyone. But anyway,
also there's plenty of people wanting to know his backstory, because he sure does have a really interesting backstory we'd like to know. And I think
if a certain group of adventurers had let Loudmouth talk, they would have learned a lot.
True. Squirted, come on.
Just remember, Jeff, you did still promise me eventually all will be revealed. I need to know who Whitebeard's lady friend is,
and closure.
I'm gonna be.
Go ahead. You're gonna be the what?
No, you go, Jeff.
I was gonna give you a little tidbit of fun behind the curtain, exclusive to the watch party. But I find it very funny that I was coming up with the Tardy Plunder. We were going to go to the Tardy Plunder the first time, the original time, whatever episode that was, 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever that was. And I'm coming up with the cast of characters that's going to be on this boat, right? I'm thinking through all these characters and how many, and I'm coming up with voices for all the characters. And at a certain point, I have like 5 or 6 different characters that they're going to meet, Sharn and Olo and, all these characters. Stinky Steve and the whole gang. And at a certain point, I'm like, it's too many. It's too many voices. It's too much. It's too many. I need to have a character that just doesn't say anything. Oh, that's fun. I'll make one that has tongue cut out, and I won't have to do a voice. I won't have to do a voice for him. It'll be really fun. And I'll call him Loudmouth, and that's a funny, ironic thing that he can't talk, and his name is Loudmouth. Oh, that's a hilarious thing. But luckily, I won't ever have to, come up with a voice for him. And then here we are, where all I do is talk as Loudmouth for minutes at a time.
A favorite, by the way.
He's perfectly annoying. As much as I don't like how annoying he is, I love how annoying he is.
I wasn't even mad at him for backstabbing Whitebeard. That's like Loudmouth he also has a very special place in my heart. That poor guy. That is funny.
He was a good guy. Like he had a lot of care for his crewmates and for just about anyone who wouldn't cross him. So I was not really surprised.
How did you know any of that, Ingrid? He couldn't talk.
Just the way he acted on the ship and stuff like that. And then it was like, oh, sorry, we threw you overboard by accident or something like that. But whenever he was presented in the back part of the timeline, I was like, oh, this guy's actually a really good guy. I'm interested to see what his backstory is.
One of my favorite things to do is to have a character that seems ridiculous and goofy at first, and then you realize you can take him seriously, right? I mean, that's kind of the Viscount is like that too, where you kind of just go, oh, this is a goofy goof character, and then he's like, oh no, there's something more there. I enjoy doing that.
And we do too. I Loudmouth is top 5 easy favorite NPCs. He's pretty good. Thank you, Jeff, for all that tidbit. I will graciously let you go now. Still holding you to that. You need to at least tell people that either I'm Whitebeard's lover or something. I need to know Whitebeard lovers. I need to know the story.
He fell in love with a wayward waffle that came aboard the ship.
I would stand next to that man at the end. Oh man,
you will never think of breakfast food ever the same.
But thank you, Jeff, as always, for giving us the time of day. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Here. Thank you to everybody that submitted questions for Stump the DM. It is amazing how all of you know more about the world than I do, and just the fact that everyone takes this so seriously and believes in it and it matters to you. I cannot tell you how much it makes me happy. So thank you all for caring
so much more than a lot. Care about the show so much, Jeff, and I think this community as a whole really does. I think this show is. I was going to say earlier that if I never hear Whitebeard's love story, I would be like the Titanic. I will be Rose at 80 years old, just like, what was that story? Like, this show is timeless. This show is beautiful, and this show really does have a special place in mine and a lot of people's hearts. That I can promise you. So,
thank you.
Thank you for making this an amazing, amazing journey.
I can't wait to see what you think of next week. I'm hoping for big malls.
Ooh, me too, Jeff. I'm waiting for the next 9. This one was so close, so close.
So close.
We will see you tomorrow, Jeff. Thank you for being amazing.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, he's awesome.
Oh, man.
So now, bye, Casper. We have our last segment of the show called Blast from the Past, where we invite someone who is not caught up to the show yet, and we talk theories and predictions of where they're at. I don't know if she's backstage yet. I gave her the link. There she is.
Hello.
Hi.
Everybody, welcome Mazikeel to our stream. Why don't you tell everybody exactly where you left off so that we know where you're at?
Okay, well, I only made it partway through episode 44,
Only
and
partway through. Okay.
I know James and Lily are in the lighthouse right now, and
Okay.
they're talking to the Viscount
For the
Okay.
first time, right?
for the first time.
Okay. So you did just get done with the pit fight?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you have chat up. That's why I'm asking, letting everybody know where she's at. I also want to point out that Mazikeel has done an amazing job not having any spoilers. She's been very careful up until this point.
That's impressive.
Extremely careful.
Yes.
Impressive.
So
We can't wait to see you in the channels. Talk.
I cannot wait.
So with that said, if Mazikeel, if you are reading the chat, I just want the chat to be mindful she's reading, you guys to be mindful she's reading. She's done an amazing
I
job.
do not see any chat, so they can.
Okay, okay. I had to clarify because I appreciate you being so careful. In fact, guys, she's so careful about not spoilers. She had no idea about my secret love affair with Whitebeard. That's how tight-lipped she is. It's insane.
That is insane.
Absolutely insane, yes.
I agree.
And I only found that out when I said that he is my least favorite character in the entire show.
Would you like to expand on why he is your least favorite character, your least favorite NPC?
He
For the
has
rest of us who might be
absolutely,
with you on that.
positively no redeeming value whatsoever.
Yes.
He's beyond hope, beyond redemption.
You sure about that?
I'm sure about as sure as I can be halfway through episode 44.
Okay. Do you think,
Anybody who can jade their kid as much as he's jaded his.
You don't know the backstory. You don't know what's going on. That's how I feel about that. Can you at least? You say he has no redeeming qualities. Do you acknowledge that he's a good pirate?
He's an evil pirate.
Is there such
good
thing?
at his job?
He's good at his job, yes.
Okay.
So is that not being good and passionate about what you do? Is that not a redeeming quality?
Not when you use it for evil.
I'm sorry. Is there such thing as a pirate? Is there such thing as a pirate that does things for good?
Possibly.
Please let me know what pirate story
Veggie
is.
Tales. Veggie Tales. They're the pirate.
Jack
We don't do
Sparrow.
anything.
Jack Sparrow.
I also want to point out that Whitebeard has successfully done a lot of journeys. Whitebeard has you might see some redeeming qualities in him, or you may not. I don't know. We'll see.
I will remain open-minded, but I'm not making any promises.
Can you at least also acknowledge that if we're talking on the villain scale, that he's pretty good? Would you say that he's a good villain?
Yes, he's an excellent villain.
Is that not a redeeming quality in its own right? If he's going to be good at something,
Don't let her convince you. Don't do it.
No, nope.
Stand your ground.
Well, why don't you tell us then? Now that you have seeds of doubt that maybe you should reconsider totally disliking him. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you think about this side quest / what's going on in the story right now?
Okay, I am absolutely loving the side quest. Seeing them trying to be themselves, but being in different people has just been pretty amazing. Now, I did have one prediction, but it was made before I realized that this was all a side quest. So I'm not sure whether I should say it or not.
Why?
But I don't know.
You're okay. You're allowed to. You are allowed to say your
You're
predictions. There's you're behind enough that it shouldn't be.
Yes. Squalesh is Fahima's father. That's one of my predictions. That's my major prediction.
A cool one. I like that.
Interesting. Okay.
Very interesting.
Elaborate on that in the no cast on when you get there.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very curious of what you think that. Okay. What do you think of specifically what's going on in the story as far as the whole Chilron situation? What do you think?
He is hiding something. I just don't know what. Is he hiding something because he's just being specifically cryptic, or is he hiding something for the protection of his family, or is he kind of in league with Whitebeard and just kind of pretending to be captured?
So you do agree. You do agree with Civ. He's hiding something, is what I'm
Yes,
gathering.
there's more to him than meets the eye.
How do you
Interesting.
think they will get the answer out of him as to what he's hiding?
I don't think Ugo's way is going to work. Ugo's been far, far too nice. I think Civ is going to be the one to end up doing it.
Interesting. So tell me then what you thought about the scene right after the Krusty Station brawl with Civ and Choron.
I thoroughly enjoyed it up until the point where Civ actually stabbed him. I understand it was a completely rogue thing to do, but I thought it was a little unnecessary. But Civ is definitely onto something. He just needs to find a better tactic to get it out of him.
What would your tactic be? I'm curious now.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So you definitely think he's hiding something, okay?
Yeah.
What do you think? You said in your story you just got to the lighthouse. Like
Yes.
They are talking to the Viscount right now?
Yeah, they're talking to the Viscount. They're trying to get the
Liquor of the Dead?
Liquor of the Dead out of him, and yeah, that's where I am right now.
What do you think of the Viscount?
He is nuttier than a fruitcake.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if he's pretending to be nuttier than a fruitcake so people underestimate him, or whether he's truly just had a psychotic break.
Okay, so you definitely think it's one or the other?
Yes.
One extreme or the other, no in between.
Yeah, no in between. Yeah, one or the other.
What do you think? Oh, go ahead.
If you had to pick one, again, well, I'm all about those predictions. If you had to pick,
that he's pretending to be nuttier than a fruitcake so people underestimate him.
Interesting. Okay.
So what do you think the Liquor of Dead is for? They have to get it for their travels. So what do you think it's going to do for whomever drinks it or uses it?
I actually think it's a placebo. I think it doesn't actually do anything, but the fact that you think it does something is how it works.
Okay.
That's interesting. I can't wait to see that play out.
Most disgusting placebo ever to drink. That stuff's really gross looking and terrible smelling.
So with that, on the lines of that, of being a placebo effect, I'm curious, what do you think we're going to find, or what do you think the Castle Rum's all about?
Well, I can't hear Castle Rum without thinking of the Parsec joke.
Of course. The only reason he did the show.
Yep.
So I have to be honest, I haven't quite thought that far ahead what the Castle Rum is all about. I mean, I'm figuring that, they're saying that's where his family is, or that's where they think the family is, but
yeah, no, I was curious in your opinion.
Yeah.
So you have no thoughts on it just
no
yet?
thoughts yet, yeah.
Okay. What was your thoughts of the pits, the whole...
I'm with Fahima on this one. The whole thing just, I with the animals and I'm a big animal lover, so Fahima and I kind of bond on that. And I was so hoping they'd figure out a way,
to not be in the pits at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so you think Ugo should have listened more to Fahima and let her finish trying to persuade Whitebeard?
Yeah, I do, but I just, there's that fine line. You need them to keep up the appearance and not tip Whitebeard off, too much.
He's an intelligent man, so you have to.
He's not a dumb man, no.
Sounds like a redeeming quality. Just saying. No, I agree. I think that, I agree with you that, because he is intelligent. So they really have to play that game. They have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or he's going to be, it's going to be too obvious. Okay. Why don't you tell some of the people, let's backtrack now. I got too excited to hear some of your theories and your predictions. Why don't you tell people how you got into the show?
Well, funny story. So I have a friend on Discord, and he was telling me about this YouTube D&D campaign with a bunch of voice actors, and I couldn't remember what the name of the show was. And so I thought it was like Critical Run or something like that. It was actually Critical Role, but Googling D&D Critical Run, the dungeon run came up, and I just started watching it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And by the time I found out it wasn't what my friend recommended, it was too late, and I was already hooked on the dungeon run.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious when you told me that story. The way the first time she told me, she's like, the show is great. And then she realized they were talking about two completely different shows. Did you ever go back and watch Critical Run?
I have not.
Now you have me saying it. Critical Role.
Nope. I'm monogamous with my D&D shows.
We appreciate the loyalty.
Yeah, no, I find myself I'm so invested into this story and this show that it's just like, maybe later, maybe next time.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't even really watched hardly anything else. I might watch a Star Trek something here every once in a while, but for the most part, this is the only show I watch right now.
Well, it's good. And it's technically worth 4 hours of shows, so
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's enough.
So why don't you tell everybody some of your favorite moments?
Well, I absolutely love the whole Jorl scene. I felt like Jeff was channeling my 30s and 40s. Life is pain. My absolute favorite, though, is the funky librarian scene during the bingo celebration. I am actually a librarian myself, so
there you go.
I identify very much so with James, and I've spent my entire career trying to break the whole librarian stereotype, and so the funky librarian just really, really resonated with me on a professional level.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And if the kiss between Civ and Lily doesn't make your top 5, then you're just dead inside.
I'm dead inside.
I love that.
I'm not dead inside. I'm only slightly alive.
Okay, so that was clearly one of your tops.
Yes,
also.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm putting you on the spot. Librarian scene, the funky librarian scene, or the kiss?
Funky librarian scene.
So that one's like pretty up there for you.
That's pretty up there, yeah.
I love it. I love it. So I take it you ship Silly. Some of their name is Lily.
I don't think she hasn't been in the chat, so she probably doesn't understand the lingo. Do you like the relationship between Civ and Lily?
Silly.
I do.
Silly.
I do.
Ship relationship, silly.
Interesting. Okay. I feel it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you think makes the show unique? I know we talked about it, but
Yes.
I really loved some of your perspectives. I kind of wanted you to share that a little bit.
Well, I have to say that the cast and Jeff just have this incredible chemistry. And I found it so hard to believe that even just from the beginning that they hadn't been playing together for years and years and years. And they seem, not only on a professional level, but on a personal level, I just love their closeness. I was watching one of Ron's miniature painting streams, and he was like, "Oh, Katie just stopped by to drop me off groceries," and my coworkers wouldn't do that. I just thought, so I just like the whole friendship and family type atmosphere that you get, with them. And Jeff's creativity is just absolutely over the top.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
and I agree with you. I think that it really plays into the show, their closeness in the game and out. Like the fact that
Mhm.
they're family like outside, I just think it really does ooze into the show, and that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's very. Two things. Everyone wants to say that we love your cat. It's behind you. Hi, kitty.
Oh
Love
no, okay.
it. There you
Oh, okay,
go.
that's Toffee. There's two of them. So
Talkie.
Toffee, as in the
Toffee.
candy. Yes, Toffee and
Adorable.
Trisket. Yes.
Adorable. And then Cosmic Lord 09 in the chat wants to know what your thoughts were on the Stranger's Fate episode.
My heart absolutely broke when Lily was like, kind of turned him down, or turned Civ down. I really, though I loved the episode from the standpoint that it moved, some things forward. And my heart also broke when Ugo's heart broke when
Yes.
Civ proclaimed his his love for Lily. And so that's what stood out to me most on that show, with that episode.
Well, I mean, him and Amy Vorpal put so much time into that song just for Lily to be like,
I
that's
know.
nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yes.
So, yeah. If you can, I'm curious, do you have a favorite episode or top 2 favorite episodes? Very. If you can. It's hard.
I don't know that I can. Every episode I see, it's like, oh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite.
It's hard to choose.
It really, really is hard to choose. I'm kind of hoping that at some point, though, they actually go back and do the first simple dungeon run. I would love to see.
Oh, like the episode 0 thing that they talk
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It'd be really great I'm curious to see how all that worked out. Because, good gosh, it'd be nice to know how they got to handle it.
Like, what do you just like? Oh, we're gonna recap it, or like, how would you want them to do it?
Well, if they had actually filmed it, that would have been cool. But I'd maybe like them to go back and try to recreate it, maybe as best they can.
Oh, like, okay, guys, we're doing episode 0 and film, like, kind of
Yes.
just
Yeah.
like redo it. And yeah, I think a lot of people want them to redo it. So that's the thing that you would want them to go back and do the most.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They do reference it a lot, so like
They do.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So much so that I was like Googling everywhere. I was like, oh, they've got to have it somewhere.
Yeah, and they don't.
Nope.
They don't.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So as far as things that are in the story, if you could go back, or if you could have them revisit one other place, where would you have them go back to?
I would love to see what Lily saw when she was in the Matryoshka dolls.
So wait, say that again?
When she was in the nesting dolls in the trinket store. I would love to see what she saw when she was there.
But she said it though.
Well, she said what she did say it, but I would love to see it role played.
So you're just all about filming stuff that didn't happen.
Exactly.
And film Lily's side adventure. Go.
Yes.
I love it.
I'd love them to go back to Turles, though. But after, once James has been redeemed and once magic has been restored, and I'd love to see Jorl out of jail. And
there's a whole list in Turles of what they should do and get taken care of.
Yes. But Jorl being Jorl, something else will happen, and he'll still be in pain.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Okay. So Turles, that's actually a very common answer. Like, if you would want to go back to Turles and take care of all the baggage and stuff there, but especially Jorl. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think Morgan would actually? Not Morgan. Sorry, Morgan. Do you think James would go and fix the situation of the moratorium on magic, or do you think that
I always pictured it that something would happen that would exonerate James without him actually having to do anything, and he, I don't know how that would happen, but I see James doing it with everybody else, but maybe it wouldn't necessarily be his idea.
Okay.
That it would be Civ or Ugo saying, we've got to do this, we've got to fix this. And Phoebe, like, yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. Okay. Brooke84 in chat wants to know, how did you get into D&D? Apparently, a lot of people know you play D&D. So they want to know.
So, long story short, and I don't know how many of my campaign members are watching, but hi, Arkle, hi, Faye, hi, Thunder, hi, Tib, hi, Falooza, if you're watching.
A lot of cool names there.
Yep. So long story short, I'm a big MMO player, and I'm a Pantheon Alpha Pledger, and I co-run a guild for Pantheon, which isn't even out yet. So a bunch of us were trying to think of something to do while we're waiting for the game to come out. And so 5 of us just got together, and we've been playing D&D roughly once a week since the end of March. I play Stabitha. She's a rogue. And if my guys are watching, they're laughing when I said that Stiv shouldn't have stabbed. Because one of the NPCs called me sweetie. And I turned around and I stabbed his hand into the countertop.
I think, wow, I like that side of you.
So yeah, it's my first D&D campaign ever, and I am having an absolute blast. We're doing a side campaign right now, and Katie would actually like this. I'm playing a ranger, and I'm a woman of few words. And one of the other players, he's a man of few words, and we ended up together role-playing the scene where I'm like, hey, and he's like, hey. And I'm like, you hungry? He's like, no. And like 10 minutes of awkward silence as the DM is making us role play this out. And we're just like, I hand him a piece of jerky and he puts it in his sack, and we just like stare at each other, and he's just dying watching us play this out.
It sounds awesome. It really does. That's so exciting that it's your first campaign.
It is.
That's exciting. Do you find, if at all, that the Dungeon Run has impacted or influenced how you play?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it has.
And in what way?
Well, obviously, my rogue, I have channeled my inner Civ.
Interesting.
On a lot of that, but Lily comes into my personality.
As you
in her a lot. Yes.
I love it. You're gonna have to keep posting about your adventure in the D&D general chat.
Absolutely, will do.
Yeah, because I know a lot of us are very in tune on what happens with Stabitha for sure. But before we wrap things up, as I told you, I want to be able to give you the floor in case there's any other fun facts you want to share, any other moment of the show you want to bring up, anything about yourself you want to say. I just kind of want to give you the floor.
I think we kind of covered.
We did
everything.
We did, and then we especially mine and yours talk. We covered a lot of stuff anyway.
Yes, absolutely. So now that this is done, I can go and binge watch the rest of them and catch up, because I promised you I wouldn't get past 44.
What's your watching speed?
I appreciate.
Maybe an hour or two a day, depending on what's going on. If I can get a chance and I watch at work, I can get through like an episode and a half. But
so we will probably see you in less than a month, or right about a month.
I've got 12.
Hey, an engineer.
I have 11 episodes, not including tomorrow's. So,
well,
yeah, probably in a couple 3 weeks.
I appreciate you halting. When you do get live, you'll see the appreciation I have as to why this is such a good place for you to stop. So I really do appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. No problem. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a blast.
Thank you for coming on. It's been an amazing blast from the past. You were so fun and incredible to talk to, and I want to personally thank you. Thank you for being part of this amazing community. You are amazing.
Thank you for the warm welcome when I first joined, and this is an absolute amazing community.
And we are so happy to have you as a bright, shining light as part of it.
Well, thank you.
So with that said, thank you so much for coming on, and we can't wait to see you in the live chat.
Oh, I can't wait.
And with that said, guys, I am so excited for tomorrow. 6 days and counting till Whitebeard may or may not come back. I can't wait for us to, I won't say it in case she's still around, but I can't wait for tomorrow. Super excited for all that Jeff has in store for us. Hoping it's a 9. So excited. Ingrid, thank you for joining me today. It was awesome.
Thank you.
We stumped Jeff 74%. He did it better, but he deserves
did
it.
better.
He's amazing. Yeah, guys, and with that said, I'm so excited to see you guys in the live chat tomorrow. And as always, everybody, humankind, be both.